Good morning. All right, everybody. Good morning. Let me grab a cup of coffee. Take a deep breath this morning. It's already been a morning. Grab my notes here real quick so we can get started. All righty. Good morning. This is Stacy. This is Walking in My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran this morning. Before we get started, I need to apologize for anybody who may have gotten an inappropriate message from somebody who was in our group. He is no longer in the group. If you go to our group, you'll actually have more details about it, but evidently he was sending very inappropriate messages to a whole lot of people in our group, and I need to apologize. As soon as we got that this morning, at 4 a.m. Eastern Time, Michelle and I were on it, working on it. So I just wanted everybody to know that will not be tolerated. This is our safe space, and I really feel like that was an invasion to our safe space. So that's the first thing. Anybody who would like to talk more about that, I will open up a chat room after this on the group page so we can address that and anything else we need to address this morning about what's going on in our lives. So this whole theme this month is love is in the air. And also often I think we hear, it was interesting to me that we need normal relationships. And I posted it in like a lot of veteran groups. What is a normal relationship? And I found that it was very interesting that people had stuff all over the place. But a lot of times in the complaints, people are like, well, I want a normal relationship. Well, what is a normal relationship? So that's kind of what we're going to go to today. What does a healthy relationship look like? What does a normal relationship look like? So I don't think any of us have that. I mean, we have our normal, and that's our normal, and that's what we're supposed to have. Because every relationship has baggage and things that we were taught and values and things we were taught as children, and we all bring it together, and that becomes our relationship. Probably the last normal relationship anybody ever truly saw that they depicted as normal was June Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver. I mean, she was always baking. She always had her hair done just so. She always had a little thing on. Hi, Ward, sit down. Hey, Beav, whatever. They did this. The house was always spotless. And so that became the preconceived idea of normal. Well, then you went to Lucy and Desi, right? And I mean, here's this guy, Cuban with a temper, owns a nightclub. He was out half the night, and they slept in twin beds. Do you really think that was normal? And then all of a sudden little Ricky comes in and you're like, whoa, how did that happen? So there's no true definition to normal. There's healthy relationships. And we can have very, very healthy relationships living with a veteran with PTSD. We can have that healthy relationship. Yeah, was that really normal? No, it was not really normal. Because my grandmama vacuumed every day, and she wasn't that normal as June Cleaver was. Okay? So you have to define what your normal is. Well, how do you define what normal is? I just want to define what happy is. All right? A good, healthy relationship is built on love, trust, communication, and respect. A good, healthy relationship is built on love, trust, communication, and respect. Well, that just threw a monkey wrench. When I started reading that, I was like, ha! Well, that just went out the window. Our veterans don't trust well, right? Our veterans don't feel worthy of love. Communication sometimes is like talking to the wall. And when the ugly comes out, we all feel like we're disrespected. Okay? So you got to get those back. And they are achievable goals. You have to get them back. How many times do we say, well, I want the so-and-so that I fell in love with, and I want the this that I fell in love with. And it's funny because I talked to Nikki and I talked to my mom. There's like people who've been married for a long time and been successful at what they did. And both of them said, which I thought was very interesting, both of them said, you always remember why you fell in love. And that kind of comes back, that spark, that reason, that initial why did you fall in love with them. But that over time, that love evolves, okay? And it becomes stronger and it becomes different. But the core is always back to where you initially started. And so when we have these bad days, we get so hung up on, I want that normal back. I want that spark back. I want that back. When you have the bad day in the relationship, remember that's why you fell in love. Now you have the love thing back down. So you got to work on them, on the love. How do they feel loved? They've already been through so much. How do they feel loved? How did I feel loved? I came with a lot of baggage. Like Nikki said in one of her posts, our luggage didn't match. I'm not even sure I had luggage correctly. I have designer luggage and it has Walmart printed on the side of it. Okay, so just so you know, there are times that my designer luggage has Walmart printed on the side of it. And so, morning, Lisa, you're up early, sister. So we have this, we all come with our baggage, right? Sometimes mine was in a big black trash bag. Sometimes mine was whatever. But all of our baggage comes in to make us feel loved. I lived in a very, very, very narcissistic marriage. I didn't know what love was. To me, love was making sure his toilet was clean and the house was picked up and that I did everything for him. That was the version of love I knew. Okay, so that was my issue with love. And so when Carl came along, he's like, I love the strong woman that you are. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes me happy. I've never had anybody say, do what makes you happy. Right? So that was, I like this. Michelle goes, my veteran says a nourished relationship where you both feel is the key. And that's true. But I didn't even know what love was. My version of love was all screwed up. My version of love and what I deserved as far as love was all screwed up. So then you take the veteran who already feels like they don't necessarily deserve love, things that they may have done while they were in theater or overseas or in country, whatever word they're using today, may have made them feel unworthy of love. So when you start finding that love back, but always remember the key. Why did you fall in love with them in the first place? No, we didn't go take out an ad, and I've said this before, we didn't take out an ad that we wanted somebody broken, with PTSD, anger issues. I mean, that isn't what we fell in love with them for. We fell in love with them for a reason. What is that reason? Make that your focus in your love side. Make that your focus. Are you ever or will you ever get back to that puppy love that we all had when we first started dating and it was sweet and it was this and it was all about winning each other's affection and making sure y'all gel? Will you get back to that on a regular, everyday basis? Probably not, because the real world comes into play and you evolve and your love is deeper. But your basis is what you first fell in love with. Always use that. Always use that as your marker to when you get in that place. So now they're unworthy. They feel unworthy. Trust. Y'all, trust is a huge issue for both parties. I didn't trust anybody, okay? I'm going to tell you. Carl came in and I loved him and I started, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoop, let's put this big old brick wall around my heart. He kind of had my heart. He didn't get into my soul. I guess that was the difference. And he said the same thing. We both had baggage, whether it be Walmart or the designer or the trash bag. We both had baggage, and it put this wall around our heart. And then it put it around our soul. And while he got into my head first, I loved him in my head first. Then it was in my heart. And now it's with every ounce of my being. But that takes time to chisel that away. That takes time to get that away. So to find that love, to find that trust was hard for me. It was hard for him. Come on. He had an ex-wife that did things they shouldn't have. I had ex-husbands that were abusive and narcissistic and all kinds of things. I didn't trust anybody. But when I learned that I could trust Carl, when I learned that I could trust him with my feelings, when I learned that I could be open with him and he didn't judge me necessarily, and that kind of trust went forward, and whatever in our past was in our past, our relationship grew and it became healthier. We still have a long way to go. Everybody has a long way to go, because once you think you got it, something changes. You evolve. Michelle's words to me early on in this were evolve together. We evolve together. We grow together. And there's times we grow apart, and that growing apart, you got to pull it back together. But that's part of it. So trust. They don't trust anybody. They don't trust anybody. How many of your veterans just go out and trust everybody at face value? If you got one, I'd like to know, because I have never seen it. Okay, so we have to build that trust, and it comes a little bit at a time. And that trust will make our relationship healthier as we go. Communication. We're going to dig into a lot of these a lot deeper as we go. But communication, y'all, communication. We have to find a way to communicate. We have to find that way to communicate. Communicate our feelings. Make sure we're being heard. Okay? Make sure that we have clear definitions in what we want. And I'm going to use this analogy. We talked about it a little bit this morning. A lot of times we see spouses say, I wish I'd just stopped playing video games. Okay. Well, what do you want them to do if they're not playing? What specifically do you want them to do if they're not playing video games? Carl used to say to me, because, I work from home and I'm busy, and your friends are vetted. That's how we all are. We kind of do that. Except for, I'm learning a lot about vetting people after this weekend. But he would say to me, I want us time, on the couch time, us time. I'm like, okay, so, I've been working all day, and I finally get in a roll, and my brain is in the right place, and I'm working on websites or working on whatever, and I'm really in a roll, and I realize, oh my gosh, it's 6 o'clock. Let me go spend time with Carl. Great. And I go to the couch, and I spend time with Carl, and we're watching TV, and, we're in our little space together. But, let me tell you something. This little creature right here, do you know you can publish all kinds of things on this little creature right here? I can sit out with this little creature right here and post all kinds of things and be scheduling posts and doing things on this. Well, I wasn't giving him time on the couch. I wasn't giving him our time. I was physically sitting there, but I wasn't giving him our time. So as he started to talk to me, he said, no, I want our time. I don't want anybody else in our space, unless it's your mother or your children and it's an emergency. I'm like, cool. So if you don't want to play the video games, right, and you want that, you have to be specific in your communication. You have to be specific. What do you want and why? Come on. And did they hear it? Because what happens is, I heard from Carl, I want you to sit on the couch with me. I didn't hear from him, I want you to spend time with me without any outside interference. Okay, so that was a big deal in communicating and learning that we were really listening to each other. Okay, so all of that starts to come into your healthy relationships. All of that is needed for your healthy relationship. Now, not everybody is going to want their time, on the couch time. That works for us. That's something we do that works for us. It may not work for everybody else. So for us, that is our normal. It may not be Elisa's normal. It may not be Nikia's normal. It may not be Michelle's normal. But that is our normal. Okay, so that's what our normal relationship looks like. Respect is such a hard thing because as we go through this and all too often, and I did it when I first said, look, I got to figure this PTSD thing out. I got to really understand this because this is making no sense, and I felt disrespected, and I felt all this stuff, and so I went out and I started looking for help. And it was all about, well, he needs to do this and he needs to do that and he needs to do this, and that was how I came across, because that's what the stuff I was fed was. Oh, yeah, it's on him, it's his this, it's his that. And then I realized, no, how are you respecting him by talking down to him? How are you respecting him by taking things away from him? How are you respecting him by calling him names? Because I fight with my tongue, not with my fist, okay? How are you respecting him? And what I found was we were living in a situation while we loved each other, right? We truly loved each other. We were not respecting each other. And before we learned good communication, we had to learn respect. It all kind of ties together. You can't communicate with somebody if you're not showing them respect. You can't do it. And so what I found was is that I was disrespecting him as much as I felt like he was disrespecting me. And that was a really hard thing to swallow. Because here's the deal. The only way you get respect is to give respect. You can't just, now your children are a little different. I can remember telling my kids, you don't have to like me. You don't even have to love me, but you will respect me. Right? And that was a little different because they were my kids. But what happened was when I laid some ground rules for them and I made it very clear to them early on that they were going to respect me, and I didn't do things that disrespected them, they no longer did things that disrespected me. If my children call me to this day, I answer the phone, yes, sir. I just do it. I've called them yes, sir, from the time they were little. But if you want respect, you have to give it. It is not an expectation that just comes freely. It's not, Michelle, we are way too much alike. It is not an expectation or a thing that just comes freely. If you want respect, you have to give it. And so the whole thing became for me was, wait a minute. I feel like I'm being disrespected. Why do I have to change? Why do I have to give him disrespect? Because then it becomes this tit for tat, back and forth, and where are you going? If you don't like where you are, if you don't feel like you're in a healthy, happy, loving, nurturing relationship, it's both of you. It's not one of you, it's both of you. You have to learn the respect. You have to give it to get it. You can't play, otherwise you're just playing this really ugly ping pong game that never ends. It's like, remember, this is really going to tell my age, and some of you will not even remember, but that stupid Atari game where you hit the little thing and it went doom, doom, doom. Look, I could play that for like hours and never miss anything. And that's what happens when we get into this tit for tat mentality. Well, you didn't respect me last time, so why should I respect you this time? Well, you raised your voice at me, so why should I not raise my voice at you this time? Where's it going to end? Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line that says, I am done with things the way they are and they're going to change, but you don't initiate change too? How you want a healthy relationship? Change. Because I assure you, when you start to make the changes, they will. I go backwards every day. Carl will tell you, he'll stand right there and tell you, yes, honey, you go backwards every single day.
So do I, though. It's just human. We all make mistakes.
We do, and that's what he's saying. We all make mistakes. We all do whatever. I'm assuming you're going to the store?
Yeah.
I need chocolate, please.
Oh.
Snickers.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to ask. Just going to go with it.
Why?
I know when you want chocolate.
Sorry. See, respect. He knows. He doesn't even have to go there. Yeah, it is like that song that never ends, Michelle. If you don't draw a line, and sometimes we have to be the grown up and say, or the adult, or whatever you want to call it, and say, we got to start at a starting place. We have to have that starting place. This is something we have to have. And you have to overlook and let it go. You're not going to erase the past anyway. I mean, so that's kind of like this thing. If it happened in the past, you're not going to erase it anyway. Right? So what is the point in revisiting that same thing back and forth? Bye, baby. This back and forth. Well, you did that to me yesterday. Well, you did this to me the day before. Well, you did this to me last time. Well, you did this. Oh, and you've done this the last 6 times we've had a conversation. Oh, you did this the last 7. Are they in the past? Then leave them there. You're not going to undo them. They're not going to go away. And when you draw the line, you'll start to get the respect because you're going to give it first. And I know that you're like, oh God, Stacey, you're telling me I got to be the one to change. No, I'm telling you, we have to evolve.
We change together, we grow together, it just depends.
Yeah, we change together and we grow together, and it just depends. I need to have him sit in with me on one of these because he's really good at relationships. I suck at him. I'm just telling you. But we grow together and we change together. Are there days he drives me absolutely insane? Yes. And there are days that I drive him absolutely nuts. But at the end of the day, we go on. And one of our biggest arguments lately has been just over this tit for tat back and forth. Like, I've really, really, really gotten good at not yelling. Makes me so excited. Like, I almost want to have an argument to see if I don't yell. Okay, because it goes on my victory card. Had an argument today, didn't raise my voice. Yeah, it goes on my victory wall. Yeah, you either grow together or you grow apart. And even if you've grown apart, if you've still got that initial love there, you can make yourself grow back together. You can bring it back around. It will come back around to learning to grow together. It will do that. So I've been really good at not raising my voice lately, right? I'm super excited. Not raising my voice. We got this. Things are better. She'll be sending me a text. I don't even want to know. I love you, Michelle. I'm sorry. That was precious. Lamb chop. Does that mean I'm going on and on? Sorry, hon. We were doing this, and I made it, and I didn't yell. And then he sat there and he said, as we were arguing, he was like, said something really kind of ugly. And I was like, what? Where did that come from? And he said, well, you did that to me the other day. And I was like, but I'm not doing it anymore. Well, you did that to me the other day. I'm like, but I'm not doing it anymore. And I finally just looked at him and said, where are we going to stop? Because I can throw up what you did yesterday and you can throw up what I did yesterday. And all we're going to do then is have this anger issue going on. So where do we stop? And we agreed we were stopping right there. And we haven't thrown it up again, which is nice to step out of that past. It's nice because you go forward. So define your normals. What are your normals? What makes you happy? What is going to make you happy? And y'all know this is no secret. Michelle and I talk every morning, right? Every morning Michelle and I talk. Damien got up, gave her a kiss this morning. This is like at, I don't know, 2:30 o'clock in the morning her time, because it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning my time. He got up, said, Stacey, hang on a minute, bent over, gave her a kiss and fixed her a cup of coffee. I like that kind of normal. That was amazing normal. I was like, whoa, that is awesome. And so I get in and I go take a shower and I get ready to do this and I come out. What does Carl have? He has my coffee like he does every morning. I can't just say this is a one-time thing. He has my coffee like he did every morning, sitting here, all the lights on, all the stuff on, and he goes, baby, have a good walking in my shoes. I'm like, wow, I like this. And that's become our normal. And it's a great normal. We are nowhere where we were a year ago. We are nowheres in that spot we were a year ago. We are closer. We are stronger. We are healthier than we have ever been. The problem is, and this is like a great problem to have. I'll just tell you, this is a great problem to have. The problem is that when you've got it going good, and when you've got these great normals, and when you're getting through the good times, and you're seeing the new normal start to arrive, and you go back to one episode like you had before, you're like, but none of it's working. And so it makes the moments of going back, it makes those moments of going backwards seem like they're just bigger. So you have to suck that in and just go, this is great. We cooked dinner together last night. And we haven't done that in a very long time. But we decided, we really like this. Why are we not doing more of this? This is our normal. And I think that's where we have to go. My relationship will never be like any of yours. Your relationship will never be like any of mine. We all bring baggage. We all have personalities. Personalities are a huge difference. We all have different upbringings. We all have different things. My Nana, for God's sakes, used to ride by my house to make sure I had washed my kids' shoelaces at 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I kept one pair of shoelaces. They were always clean. And at 9:45, I had an alarm set. At 9:45, I ran out and hung them up on the clothesline. They were the same pair, and I didn't wash them every time. But she didn't know the difference. But that's how she was raised. And that's how she wanted me raised. And so I had these expectations, right? It came from this was normal. I can remember cooking on the weekends when my kids were home. And, my Nana, we'd all go to her house and eat. And so on Sunday, she would call everybody early in the week. What do y'all want for lunch Sunday? And we'd all give her this list. Do you think she made like meatloaf or fried chicken or a pot roast, one or the other, and then would give us the next one the next week? Nope. If somebody wanted fried chicken, they got fried chicken that day. If they wanted meatloaf, they got meatloaf. If they wanted pot roast, they got pot roast. She cooked it all. She cooked everybody's sides. So here we are at this family dinner, right? And we got like 3 meats and 20 sides and 6 different desserts. And I cooked like that for my kids for a long time and their friends. They all wanted to come to my house on the weekend because they knew I'd cook like that. And then I'm thinking, this isn't normal. You work a full-time job. This is your weekend to go out and hang out by the pool and do what you want. Why do you have to bring your Nana's version of normal in? If she wanted to get up and cook 3 separate meats and 22 sides, that was on her. But that didn't have to be my normal. And so I think that as you go through, it's all of your past that comes in. It's all of your past things that come in to your life that make them that way. All the way down to what you eat. Traditions. We all bring them. And so this time Carl and I sat down and we said, okay, what is one tradition you really want? What is one thing you really want? And let's make our own traditions. Why do we have to go back to somebody else's? And it was so neat to create our own normal, our own us. And that is the key to having a healthy, loving, nurturing relationship. You can't judge yourself based on somebody else's normal. We are never going to be June Cleaver. There are days I'm probably more like Lucy Ricardo. I'll just say that. Okay? But we are never all going to be that June Cleaver. We're never going to have that leave it to beaver mentality where Carl's never going to come in here and find me in an apron with the vacuum cleaner going and the cooking and the hair all done. That is never going to happen. All right? We are lucky in my house. I call it a good day in our house if my bra and my underdrawers match. That is the key to a great day. If I have made it that far in my day, that is a key to a great day. That's it. I mean, I'm not going to be the June Cleaver. Look, I got piles here and piles here. Yesterday, it looked like dealing meal laid out on the floor while I was working on the website stuff. That's my normal. That's who I am. And we don't change that. We take our normals and we go forward. That's who we are. So this whole month is going to be devoted to finding happiness. Well, tomorrow we're going to talk about finding happiness, but it's what a healthy relationship looks like. Where do you find your happiness? Where does your happiness lie? And then you put that in with where your spouse's happiness lies. And you make a combination of where you together find happiness. This whole month is on Love is in the Air. We're going to talk about everything from building strong foundations to fighting fair to toxic behaviors. And at the end of this month, I hope you have enough tools to go forward and build a healthy, strong relationship. And the first person you got to build it with is yourself. Remember, all of this stuff works as a partnership, but you got to build it with yourself first. You got to love yourself. You got to trust yourself. You got to be able to communicate with yourself, and you got to respect yourself. All those things tie in. So that's where we are today. Lots going on. There's a lot more coming out. Again, if you were one of the unfortunate people to get a message, we are very sorry. This is supposed to be our safe place. This is supposed to be the place where we are safe. And we have done everything in our power to alleviate that problem that came up over the weekend to so many people. If you were one of those people, please send us a message. We're going forward from this. And I'm going to get off here and I'm going to take a minute and then I'm going to go do a chat room in the group. So if anybody wants to get in, talk. Tomorrow I have a very important meeting about being the voice for our veterans. I'm so excited with where that's going and issues we have with the VA system and how we can better support our veterans and our spouses. So when we're in that little chat room, if you want to bring that up, that would be great. If anybody wants to pop in and give me their 2 cents worth on that, because this is the platform. We are tomorrow going forward with an incredible meeting that I just am so grateful that all of y'all participated and helped do that for us. So give me a minute. I'm going to get out of here, and now I figured out how to do a chat room. I'm so excited. It'll be Stacy's chat room in the group. I'm Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran. Y'all have a blessed day.